one more time.
Jump into one, bro.
Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to a very special edition of the State of the Saints podcast. As some of you may know in the Who That Nation that follow the State of the Saints, we have been talking about Drew Brees and his controversial comments, that he gave to Yahoo Finance and how he had everybody in an uproar about his comments, man. And a lot of people felt like it was, very disrespectful, for people taking a knee, towards the military. So without further ado, man, I have somebody on the show with me tonight or this evening or this morning, wherever you're looking at this video, and it's someone that I love and respect dearly. A person that served 3 tours in Iraq, and he is just so happens to be my older brother, Sam Jones. Thank you very much, Sam, for being a part of the show, brother.
Hey man, thank you for having me tonight.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man, for your time. Just want to give you the floor. Let everybody, Who That Nation know a little bit of something about yourself. Let them know, your background and everything.
Okay, well, I'm a college student. I'm a father of 4. I'm a military veteran. As my brother stated, I did 3 tours in Iraq, and I was proud to serve my country.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate your service and everything that you've done. I just wanted to get your take on Drew Brees. A lot of people that I feel like been kind of chiming in really don't have that experience that you have. Being in the military, serving the country. So I just want to ask you, man, what do you think about Drew Brees' comments, and do you feel offensive for those football players who decide to take a knee?
I feel that Drew Brees may have spoke, but I think that maybe he spoke too soon, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the makeup of the New Orleans Saints team, I mean, you could say easily this team is 65% black.
Right.
They have great chemistry together on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a problem between them or anything like that. I just think that maybe, with everything going on in America today, maybe he had pressure on him from some aspect, and maybe he just spoke out of turn. But he came back and corrected himself. So,
Right.
I don't think that he's a person that feels a certain type of way or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
or a certain type of people. I think he's a good person. I really do.
Right. I think he's a good person too. I think that I feel like, and I said this on the last podcast, I just feel like he kind of has a disconnect with society. Sometimes people don't have a pulse on society and what's really going on. It's not any fault of their own. They're probably, one, minding their own business, or two, like not in a particular lane. But a lot of people just felt like, maybe a person of his cachet, a person that's an icon around the city of New Orleans, and even in NFL in some circles, he shouldn't have said what he said at that particular time. But let's go ahead. Let me ask you this question here, about those players that decide to protest. My question is to you as a military veteran. Are you offended when a football player decides to take a knee in protest of social injustices in this country?
Not at all. As part of the military oath, you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, everybody's entitled to their own individual form of protest. And I think that by you trying to silence them and saying something negative toward them while in the process of protesting, it's a bad look. You
Right.
know what I mean? I'm just being honest.
Right.
Uh, you can't take away the rights of the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even though you're in a business, if you look at it from a business standpoint, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
you sign a contract with the NFL, maybe there's some kind of morals clause where, they may object to you, doing certain things and, harm the image of the team, make them look bad.
Right.
But at the same time, you're an individual. So, you're entitled entitled to your own opinions and your own thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I think I just think things are in a bad state right now. I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
we're kind of on the precipice of something different that maybe we've never seen before in society.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just honestly I'm along for the ride. I'm waiting to see what's coming next.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I know, just talking to you and interacting with you, I even, know that you took part in some of the protests that were going on. You stay out there in Memphis. Man, just let everybody know, man, about these protests, because I feel like the protests is getting a little bit of a bad rep as far as like, you got some people out there decide to go rogue and want to riot in the streets, but there are some peaceful protests going on, and one of them was in Memphis where you were, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that protest and how, how the people were, the pulse of the people?
I think sometimes maybe the media portrays things to make it look a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I live very close to the downtown area. I mean, you're used to the lights and sirens. You hear it frequently, but as far as, people rioting or looting, I mean, there's always going to be opportunists, to take advantage of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there are people that out here genuinely protesting for change. They're upset about the way things are going, and they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's what makes America different from any other country in the world.
Right.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really understand how America even has its government. Like, I mean, I don't. I mean, I can see how you just need someone in control to just hold it all together. But
Right.
Everybody's kind of their own entity in
Right.
this unique place.
Right.
So, I just it's weird. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, man. But I mean, you're absolutely right, man. I feel like, it does give us the right and the privileges to actually protest. And I just feel like people are just, getting a little bit of a bad rep when it comes to the protests. I think they can't separate the riots and the protests from each other. And, when you combine those two together, that's why I feel like people are going wrong. But let's go ahead and fast forward, man. Let's talk a little bit more about Saints, because when you start talking about situations like this, a lot of people think you get borderline political. Which me personally, I feel like when you talking about a situation like this, you have no choice, because no matter what particular thing you're into, rather you want to listen to music, rather you want to watch sports, everybody is talking about these issues in regards to George Floyd, but I want to talk about the culture of the Saints, man. You've been a Saints fan as long as me. We're just a year apart. So you know about the times, the good times, as well as the bad. All right, this team right here going into the 2020 season, do you think they'll be able to weather the storm dealing with this controversy with Drew Brees? Do you feel like it's going to affect the team's chemistry? Or do you feel like the Saints are going to be able to weather the storm and possibly get their fourth straight NFC South title?
I'm actually worried more about the Saints weathering than the Buccaneers twice this season. I'm just being honest with you. They're pretty stacked. NFC South has been a tough division for a few years. I know that Carolina's restructuring, and Atlanta's kind of always a toss-up team. You never really know with them.
Right.
So I said with Tampa Bay being what they are and kind of what their culture did, or their past culture did, I think that once they get their mojo going, I think they can be dangerous. So I'm kind of worried more about that than the team chemistry at this point.
Okay, so you're not too concerned about Drew Brees' comments affecting the team. You're not too concerned about that. Okay, so it's more of Tampa Bay. It's more about Tampa Bay and them having Tom Brady and them developing chemistry as time go on, right?
Exactly, because I mean the Saints I haven't noticed any big part that they've added that would make this team more dynamic than the usual, Saints team. I mean, the offense is always great.
Right.
And I mean, I'm proud that to have a winning team, but to never get over that hump and repeat it, disappointment, it's worse than not even being there. So, I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm like, make a play, do something big, compete. Make your statement on the NFL. Make everybody notice you.
Right.
And their Super Bowl winning run, they didn't start off hot, but when they got hot, everybody noticed them, and that momentum kept them going through the season. Right. I think that's what got them over that hump.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think they kind of need something like this. And until they make that doing the things they're doing right now in the draft, and with the personnel they're doing it with, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how you feel. You know, I'm in that same boat. You know, like when we were growing up as kids, you know, we just used to be excited they actually won a game. But now it's like to a point where they're so good, it frustrates you even more when they lose because you feel like they're the better team. You know, as far as like with the chemistry, you know, I feel like it's not going to affect the team so much. I think these guys are professionals, but I kind of have to disagree with you on them not making any changes, man. I think that might be a good thing because you look at the state and the climate that we're in right now, dealing with COVID-19. Guys aren't able to practice with one another. You got guys that are signed to teams. You know, they never even met the coach, never met the players, never worked out with the players. And that can kind of take a toll on you, especially since we're talking about having training camp late July, you know what I'm saying, even early August. So the fact that the Saints are signing back the guys that are familiar faces, you have that chemistry dynamic. And that's the thing that, you know, that can help you for those next couple games. You know what I'm saying? I mean, especially like those first couple games of the season, while other teams are developing chemistry around week 4 or 5, the Saints still have that chemistry going into training camp. And yeah, you got a couple guys like Emmanuel Sanders and Malcolm Jenkins who came along, back around again when it comes to Malcolm Jenkins. But I mean, those guys are professionals, man. I mean, these guys are like 32, 33 years old. That's not a defense or offense they didn't see and they're not prepared for. So I think what the Saints have done, I think Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis and the staff realized that the pandemic was going to affect if they bring a whole bunch of different guys in from different positions versus them actually bringing in the guys that they are familiar with. So I think that might be able to serve in their favor, but Tampa Bay does concern me. I have Tampa being the second runner-up because I have the Saints winning the division. I think Tampa is going to be second in the division. I'm just not sold on them, man. I'm just not sold on them. As far as Tampa is concerned, man, I never asked you this. Do you have a record that you feel like Tampa is going to have this season? What do you think their record is going to be?
I'm looking at Tampa maybe to go 9-7, maybe 10-6.
Mm-hmm.
They're a new team, but Tom Brady is a proven winner, so I see him. I see him making a statement. He's left the Patriots. He's been there forever.
Right.
It was the same situation with Peyton Manning and Broncos. So he's not going to go there. I don't think he's going to lay up a dud.
Right.
I think he's going to be a proven winner.
Right. Well, a lot of people feel that way, man. But I still think the Saints are going to win the division. I still think the Saints are going to go about 11-5. I think that Carolina is going to be better than people give them credit, and so is Tampa. I feel like they're probably going to be tied for the same record. I think the NFC South is going to be the best division in football this season. As far as the competitive standpoint. But what about the Saints, man? The Saints. What do you have the Saints record being this season?
I'm thinking maybe 11-5, maybe 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the offense is still pretty stacked. Like I said, they've added new pieces. But like I said, I'm just, offense you can put up points all day.
Right.
But against particular defenses, sometimes somebody throws something at you, you don't quite understand, or something, maybe, controversial or something like that, and you can't really perform up to the standard. But like I said, with the Saints, it's like I don't know, like defense really wins football games.
Yeah.
Like I said, everyone loves the offense. The offense to put on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can score 100 points, but if your opponent scores 101, then you still lose. So, I mean, I don't really care about the offense at this point. They were already proven. The offense is proven. Like what are you going to do on the defensive side of the ball? That's the part that keeps hurting us. So why not add to the part that's hurting us to make it better instead of adding to the part that was already beneficial to us in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, like I get what you're saying. There has been some issues, especially like last minute of the game, fourth quarter, 50-something seconds left in the game, and the defense can't close. I have to say, man, I like the fact that they went back and got Malcolm Jenkins. Now, I know the first time around, Malcolm Jenkins wasn't, a tackling machine or a guy that wasn't as solid defensively as he became when he went to Philadelphia. Now he's come back, and he has skins on the wall, man. He's a leader. He's seen it all. He's done it all. He's won a championship with Philadelphia. And I think that's going to help a lot of those safeties and the guys in the secondary to be on point, man. I think when you look at Philadelphia last season towards the end, they had a lot of injuries, Sam, on defense, man. They were doing like, plug and play in a secondary, man. But they did enough to actually make it to the playoffs and win the NFC East. And it had a lot to do with the fact that Malcolm Jenkins was out there, man. So I think when you have a lot of young players, there's a lot of guys that make mistakes. There's a lot of guys that get messed up when it comes to assignments. I see a lot of pointing at each other, like when plays are big, like, yeah, I thought you were there, I thought you were there. I think with Malcolm Jenkins being a leader in the secondary, it might help them because we all know, like, I'll just say from my particular standpoint, it's always the secondary that screws it up at the end. I mean, the defense plays pretty good throughout the game, but it's just one of those things where, if you did if you drove an hour, to your location, where your location was an hour, and you drive 59 minutes and 57 seconds, and all of a sudden you crash into a fire hydrant. All that good driving is all that good driving is pointless, So I get what you're saying, and I understand how you feel because I feel the same exact way, man. I don't think I can take too much more of this every single year, just them getting so close but yet so far. Okay, but let's focus one more time on Drew Brees, man. I got your perspective on, your thoughts about the flag, the chemistry. But now I want to ask you about Drew Brees, man. Do you feel like this is going to be his last season in the NFL? Do you think he's going to retire after this year?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't know why you have to ask me that question.
Hey man, we do hot takes on here. I know I told you before the show what we were gonna talk about, but hey, I gotta get your perspective, man, because you're a special guest, and so.
Okay, well, I don't think so. I think maybe 1 or 2 more seasons. I see Drew as being one of those guys that's going to he doesn't have anything left in the tank, leaving everything on the field and taking his helmet off. Maybe walking off without him getting a flag or something like that, and everybody cheering and clapping for him.
Right.
That'd be his last little standing ovation.
Right.
But because they are so close and because they made moves they made, I don't necessarily see them, maybe retiring next year, but
right.
maybe in the next 3 years, definitely.
Wow, 3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
I give him about Drew Brees is a competitor. And there's competition still on the field. Like, I mean, we really think about it from back in the day all the way up to now. I mean, some quarterbacks we talk about not playing anymore, but
right.
You had Peyton Manning, you had Tom Brady, you had Drew Brees.
Right.
And like I said, Peyton Manning, had to leave early, but he had a great career.
Yeah.
And like I said, you have two left. Who's going to do the last of the Mohicans,
Yeah.
Tom Brady already left his legacy in
New England. Yeah.
Like I said, he didn't have to. He doesn't have to do anything else. He doesn't have to prove anything. I mean, he can go out there and really stink up the place and say, "Oh well, COVID in my shoulder," and they'd be like, "Oh, well, Tom had a great career, blah blah blah." But Drew Brees, he's trying to leave his mark. I think he's
right.
trying to do that. Get that last little hurrah. I think that's what will make him feel complete as a quarterback.
Right.
Like I said, I mean, he's a competitor overall. Like, more than anything else. I mean, I think we both know that.
Right.
So, I think that's really what he's waiting for. He's waiting for that shot. And like I said, to be honest with you, I think that the NFC South Championship game is going to be played between the Buccaneers and the Saints. What other teams can it be played between? And I mean, it's going to be a showdown, and it's going to be hyped up like a Floyd Mayweather fight.
Right.
I'm telling you. I mean, it's gonna, it's gonna go down.
Right.
And I'm saying, it's gonna come down to the wire between these two teams, and I think the Saints come out on top.
Right. Right. So you feel like they're going to be, these two are going to be vying for the NFC South title, and they might even end up in the NFC Championship game playing against each other. So is that what you're saying? Or are you just saying like it's just going to be a two-headed race for the South? So what are you
I'm
saying?
saying it's going to be a two-headed race for the South.
Okay.
I'm not going to say they're playing the champions against each other.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible now. It's possible they can play.
I know it, but
Yeah.
I'm the thought of the Saints making it there. You know, like I said, I'm gonna get myself hyped up for that. Like I said, I've been, hyped up to this point so many times to let down to.
Right.
When you get there, you're actually in disbelief.
Right.
So I'll just wait for that moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just it's very exciting, man. I must say, man, I'm really looking forward to the 2020 season. But this is the last question I have for you. It has something to do with Drew Brees. The question is, if Drew Brees decides to play for 3 years, do you want to see him play all 3 years with the New Orleans Saints?
Of course. I don't think that Drew Brees is one of those quarterbacks that's going to go anywhere else. Like I said, I don't think it's so much about the money at this point to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more about his legacy. And New Orleans kind of fulfilled his dream,
Right.
And it's pretty much like a Breeze City.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like the Mannings are, in New Orleans. Like a lot of people don't know that, but I think that Drew Brees isn't going anywhere. He'll definitely finish his career as a Saint.
Yeah. What about? Okay, I gotta ask you one more time. One more question. Super Bowl. If they end up winning a Super Bowl this season, do you think he'll ride off into the sunset?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Okay, so
like I said, at that point,
okay,
nothing else to prove.
okay, so you feel like 3 years, for the exception of if they win the Super Bowl this season. So if they win a Super Bowl this season, then he's gonna ride off to the sunset. If not, he's gonna play about 2 or 3 more years.
Yeah. I honestly think so. I'm just being honest with you, man. I mean, think about it. Like I said, Drew Brees winning another. I mean, we couldn't get through the NFC these last couple of years in the playoffs because inevitably, more than likely, you're going to be facing Tom Brady and New England Patriots.
Right.
If you can knock them off in the same conference and win the conference, then you don't even have to see that guy no more. Maybe as a wild card later on down the line, if they make it.
Good
you
point.
Get what I'm saying?
Good point.
So I'm like, if you're at that point, then who's your competition going to be in the AFC? What quarterback do you think in the AFC can compete with Drew Brees at this point in his career in the Saints? At this point,
Well,
isn't Tom Brady and New England Patriots?
Well, I mean, you gotta throw Patrick Mahomes in there, man. You gotta throw Patrick Mahomes in there. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, he was Super Bowl MVP. Yeah,
but you gotta think about it. Drew Brees is an older quarterback, but the rest of the team around him are in their youth and in their prime.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Okay.
A quarterback's main job is to deliver the rocket, baby. Everybody else's job is to catch the rocket and keep it moving.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you keep the young gunners on the outside, and you protect the gunsling in the back.
Right.
And that's the way it is.
Right.
So I mean, I think they'll do pretty good.
Okay.
To be honest with you, like I said, I think Sean Payton is a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a good strategy. To be honest with you, I think it would be one of the best football games I've witnessed in my lifetime if I got to see him and Andy Reid coach against each other in a football game.
Well, you're gonna see that this season, man, because Kansas City is actually playing the Saints in the Superdome this season, so you'll get the opportunity to actually see that actually happen. So it'll be very
like more of a playoff.
Yeah. I got you. I got you.
Like I said, regular season, it's all well and good,
Right.
But like I said, it's really what matters after regular season.
Right.
That's what everybody remembers. So.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, man, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your perspective on the New Orleans Saints and also, on just some of the issues that we're dealing with as a society. Thank you so much, brother.
No problem, man.
This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, the podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Alexa. All you have to do is say, "Hey, Alexa, play the State of the Saints podcast," and you'll get the most recent episode right there for you. So, till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?